On the night of August 5th, 1945, a 22-year-old woman named Kimie sat down at the small writing desk in her family's home in Hiroshima, Japan. The house was quiet. Her younger brother was asleep. Her mother had gone to bed early. Outside, the city was still, the way cities get in the hour just before midnight, when even the dogs have stopped barking. Kimie picked up her pen. She thought for a moment, and then she began to write. She wrote for almost 2 hours. When she was done, she folded the paper carefully. She addressed it to her cousin, who lived in a village outside the city. She set it on the table beside her bed, meaning to mail it in the morning. She never mailed it. At 8:15 the next morning, August 6th, 1945, the Enola Gay dropped a single bomb over Hiroshima. Within seconds, everything within a mile of the explosion was gone. Kimie's house was 6/10 of a mile from the hypocenter. The letter survived. This is the story of the last message from Hiroshima, and it is one of the most quietly heartbreaking things I have ever read. Before I tell you about the letter, I want to tell you about the city, because most of what we know about Hiroshima is the moment of destruction, and the people who lived there deserve more than that. In the summer of 1945, Hiroshima was a city of about 350,000 people. It had been largely spared from the bombing campaigns that had devastated Tokyo and other Japanese cities. Some historians believe this was intentional, that American military planners had preserved Hiroshima for a specific purpose. But the people of Hiroshima didn't know that. They went to work, they went to school, they visited their neighbors, they wrote letters. By that summer, the war had been going on for nearly 4 years. Food was scarce. Young men had been taken away to fight. The city was full of women, children, and elderly people holding things together the best they could. Kimie was one of them. She worked at a textile factory near the center of the city. She was the eldest daughter in her family, which meant, in the way it did for eldest daughters in that time and place, that she carried more than her share. She looked after her younger brother. She helped her mother with everything that needed helping. She wrote letters to the cousins and friends who had scattered across the country as the war wore on. She wrote a lot of letters. Her cousin later said that Kimie's letters were the best ones she ever received from anyone, ever. Not because they were full of news or important information, but because, she said, Kimie always wrote like she was sitting right there in the room with you, like she was just talking. On the night of August 5th, Kimie sat down and wrote what would be her last one. Kimie's cousin kept the letter for the rest of her life. She gave an account of its contents in an interview conducted decades later by a Japanese journalist documenting the stories of survivors and the families of those who didn't survive. The letter began the way Kimie's letters always began. She asked how everyone was doing. She mentioned the heat. It had been an unbearable summer, she said. She talked about her brother, who had recently started being interested in drawing and wouldn't stop sketching pictures of birds on every piece of paper he could find. She mentioned that the factory had been short-staffed lately and that she was tired more than usual. But she was okay, she said. She always said she was okay. Then the letter changed tone. Kimie wrote that she had been thinking lately about what she wanted her life to look like when the war was over. She said she wasn't sure how long it would take, but she believed, she wrote, "I truly believe that it would end." She said she'd been thinking about going back to school, maybe learning something new. She didn't know what yet. She wrote that she missed her cousin, that she missed the way things had been before, when they would visit each other in the summer and stay up too late talking about nothing in particular. She said she thought about those visits a lot these days. And then she wrote something that her cousin said she read so many times over the years that she had it memorized. She said she could close her eyes and see Kimie's handwriting forming the words as she read them back. I have been thinking lately that we spend too much time worrying about the future and not enough time being grateful for right now. Tonight I can hear my brother breathing in the next room. My mother is asleep. The neighborhood is quiet. I am writing to you. This is enough. This is more than enough. Kimie, August 5th, 1945. She ended the letter the way she always ended her letters. She said, "Don't worry about me." She said, "Take care of yourself." She said she'd come and visit as soon as things got easier. She folded the letter. She set it on the table beside her bed. She went to sleep. I am not going to describe in detail what happened to Hiroshima at 8:15 on the morning of August 6th. Most of you already know. And for those who don't, I would rather you read the accounts of the survivors themselves, because no second-hand description does them justice. What I will tell you is this. Kimie had left for work early that morning. The factory shift started at 8. She would have walked the same route she always walked, through the neighborhood, past the market, toward the center of the city. Her mother was still home. Her brother had not yet left for school. The bomb fell at 8:15. Kimie was 6/10 of a mile from the center. Her mother survived, badly injured, because she had been in a part of the house that was partially shielded by a stone wall. Her brother survived as well. The school had not yet opened its doors, and the students had been waiting outside in a spot that was slightly further from the blast. Kimie did not survive. When rescue workers eventually reached the house days later, they found it partially collapsed. Inside the rubble of what had been Kimie's room, they found the letter, still folded, still addressed to her cousin, somehow untouched. Her mother sent it. She sent it along with a note of her own, explaining what had happened. The note was 3 sentences long. Her cousin kept that note too. Kimie's cousin, whose name was Setsuko, was 19 years old when she received the letter. She said she read it so many times that first week that the paper started to soften along the fold lines. She was afraid it would fall apart, so she wrapped it in cloth and put it in a small wooden box where it stayed for the next 60 years. She married. She had children. She moved twice. She carried the box with her every time. When the Japanese journalist found her, she was in her late 70s. She still had the letter. She sat at her kitchen table and took it carefully out of the box and held it for a moment before handing it over to be read. The journalist asked her, why had she kept it all these years? Setsuko thought about this for a moment, and then she said something that I want to read to you exactly as the journalist recorded it, because she wrote it like she would see me again. She wrote it like there was going to be more time, and I suppose I kept it because when I read it, there is more time. She is still writing. I am still reading. It is still the night of August 5th, and everything is still okay. I think about Kimie's letter a lot. Not because of what it says about the war, or the bomb, or history, but because of what it says about ordinary moments, about the Tuesday nights and the Wednesday mornings, about the sound of someone breathing in the next room, about writing a letter and thinking you'll mail it tomorrow. We are all, in some way, writing letters we mean to send tomorrow. The things we mean to say. The visits we keep planning. The phone calls we put off because we assume, the way Kimie assumed, the way we all assume, that there will be more time. There is something in Kimie's last paragraph that I think about almost every time I sit down to work on one of these stories. She wrote, "I have been thinking lately that we spend too much time worrying about the future and not enough time being grateful for right now." She wrote that on the last night of her life. She had no idea it was the last night of her life. She was just telling her cousin how she'd been feeling lately. She was just talking. That is what gets me. Not the tragedy of what happened the next morning, though that is devastating, but the ordinariness of the night before. The lamp, the quiet neighborhood, the brother asleep in the next room, the sense that tomorrow was coming and life would continue and there was time to visit, time to talk, time to do all the things that hadn't been done yet. There wasn't, but she didn't know that. None of us ever do. Setsuko passed away in 2009. She left the letter to her daughter with instructions that it be cared for. Her daughter has said she plans to donate it eventually to a museum in Hiroshima so that others can read it. I hope they do. I hope a lot of people read it. I hope they read the part about the brother drawing birds on every piece of paper he could find. I hope they read the part about staying up too late talking about nothing. I hope they read the last line about coming to visit as soon as things get easier. And I hope that when they put the letter down, they think about whoever it is they have been meaning to call. If this story moved you, if it made you think about something or someone, please subscribe to Old Glory Stories. This channel exists to make sure the quiet moments don't disappear along with the people who lived them. I'll see you in the next one.